everyone will go, oh, fucking hell. Oh, my God, you hear Canelo got knocked out. Real boxing people know. You know, Bibble's been inactive. Man, he's been inactive for the last 2 years. You know what I mean? And Triple G, this is the funny thing with Triple G, right? Triple G is going to hopefully potentially get another fight soon, and that's going to be his lead up to fight fucking Canelo in his third fight. Sorry, Gennady, but you probably need at least two or three fights because this motherfucker's been active with Kovalev. He's been active with Yildirim. He's been active with Saunders, and then he's just been active with Plant. He's had 4 fights in the space of your 1. That's a big thing, Carlito.
It's real sad. Like, you know, from when I saw it today, I was just like, you know, I got to ride with Triple G. You know, I rode in the past 2 fights.
100%.
I still remember both those fights. The first one, watching it with the family. Me and my brother-in-law were the only ones going for Triple G. And I can still picture the scorecards that were all the judging scorecards were for Triple G. And then, okay, let me read the official
Yeah.
Canelo. What? Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. I was like, okay, I get it now. I get it. You know,
Carlito, I was at the fight.
Huh?
I was at the fight.
Yeah, you were at the fight, and
yeah, I was at the fight, bro.
I was like, really? So I got up and walked away. Then when he fought Triple G Cinco de Mayo the second time, oh man, I was that night. I got toasty just because of that loss with Triple G.
Yeah,
I just got hammered. I was done, bro. I was just like, the next day, I was like, man, like, yeah, like Canelo's done real big things for the sport of boxing, over the past, you know, the years that he's been in boxing. It's been crazy. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but it just seems like he was just fighting Money Mayweather just yesterday. It feels like to me.
Yeah, it does. I often think about that because if it's coming up, it's coming up. What is it? It's coming up 9 years this year. Floyd fought Canelo, and you're right. It feels like 2 years ago.
It still feels like I still look at Canelo the same, even though I guess he is the face of boxing. You know?
Oh, look. People say to me sometimes, "Oh, Nick, you're a Canelo hater." No, I'm not. I think Canelo's a legend. Floyd made him a legend, though.
Yep.
That's just my opinion. You know what I mean? Like Floyd taught him so much in 36 minutes.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He taught him so much. And that's something I can't talk about, or you can't talk about, or anyone can talk about, is he was in that square circle with Floyd Mayweather. He thought he was going to knock him out. He never got close to knocking him out. His transition on pace, the way Floyd moved up certain gears and was throwing certain pace at him, and then would throttle it back. And then he was always dictating the pace. Canelo had no idea about adaptation on pace, about how a boxer can go hard for 2 minutes, and then they think it's the same pace, and then it goes up again. Yep. You know, Floyd, if you watch that fight closely, I watch that fight once a month. I love it. So I've probably watched it 50 times. You watch Floyd during the ring, he'll break down the 3-minute round rings, 3-minute rounds. You watch him go up in gears, and he'll throttle back, then he goes back up. Canelo didn't know where the pace was at. You see a lot of fighters these days, when they're in a fight, they know where the pace is at. They know the distance control, and they know where it's at, so they just slug away. Canelo learnt that from Floyd. And when Canelo got away from that fight in 214, 215, and then obviously got in the back, I know he fought a couple of, he fought Kirkland, and he fought a couple of guys like Amir Khan. They weren't the real fighters, but when he got into those other real big fights, he took that Mayweather, we call that Mayweather experience, bottled that up. And you saw him with Danny Jacobs. He was moving. He was doing all these things. Exactly. He was, because he learned that off Floyd.
And I was like,
he learned that off Floyd.
Every time I see him fight, I'm like, I was the last time when he fought my boy Plant. he fought. I saw him fight. I was like, wow, like he's moving. He's moving like, and everyone around me is like, Canelo, like he's the best fighter, best fighter. And I'm like, dude, like I can close my eyes and I can just picture Mayweather doing those same movements and how he walked him down, came back, walked him back down again, moved like this. My favorite move of that match when you go and then he just went boom,
boom,
and like
Carlito knows boxing, Paloma. And that's the thing. If you watch that fight back, and people need to watch that fight, you'll see a young kid. And don't get me wrong, young kid, I think he was like 39 or he was 40-0 because Canelo kicked off his career at 15 years of age. His first 20 fights, I think he had before the age of 21. Even earlier. He had a lot of fights, you know what I mean? But he the breakdown of Canelo when he was in the ring with Floyd that night in round 6 or round 7, you'll actually see him when he goes back to the ring. He doesn't know what to do. And Floyd, that's when Floyd knows, I had you in round 1, 2, or 3, but I'm just like, I'm jabbing you, I'm moving you, I'm hitting you with overhand rights. I don't have the power like I used to, but Floyd was fucking 36 years of age. If Floyd was 26 and 27 when he was fighting at 147, Floyd would have knocked Canelo out because he was hitting him with some shots that was just like robust, like clean action shots. And that's where I saw Canelo. And you can see it with Richard Schaefer and Eddie Renuso and Chapa after the fight. You see it on All Access, Fight Hype. They're really, they're just like, we've been cheated. We thought we were at this level.
Yep.
Yeah. And the thing is about Canelo, and I say this to people that think that I'm a hater, at the end of his career, he's going to be a legend. Don't get me wrong. Hagler, Hearns, Roberto Duran, they've all had losses. Money Mayweather never had a loss.
Yep. The only guy that never
exactly never got knocked down, never lost more than 4 rounds. But the thing is, Canelo, at the end of your career, whether you go and dust Charlo or Benavides, there's a little red asterisk there on your box rate where Floyd Mayweather, I think, beat you 11 rounds to 1. And it doesn't matter if you're immature, premature, or whatever you are, you lost that fight. And it was a 36-year-old versus a 23-year-old. 23-year-old should win, but Floyd Bean he learned a lot from that.
And I see that I watch that fight too, can't lie. I watch that fight a couple of times every year, and I rewatch that fight and I'm like, dude, like this was like, and Floyd's like one of his last like big like how do you say it? Spectacular performance.
Yeah.
And
it was Carlito. It was his last monumental performance.
Yeah, like all of the press conference leading up, the press tour, everything leading it up, and seeing it at the Alamo, here in Texas.
Yeah, that's right. They did too.
And feeling the electricity and all the Canelo fans, all the Canelo fans were like, oh, Floyd don't want to show up. Floyd's scared. Floyd's this. I'm like, I just kind of shake my head, bro. If I could pull up that picture, I was had that foam finger, and it was like the one. It was called the one. Press, and it was some good moments, man. Really good moments in that in his career, and I'm like, damn.
To be honest, it's I said this to Ben Thompson, our boss at Fight Eye. It was last year. It's covering boxing now. Well, I don't cover it as much as I used to, but it's definitely not the same since Floyd's gone.
Yeah.
It really isn't. Like, for me, I don't know, when I watch boxing now, I don't get the same anxiety. Like when I used to watch Floyd fight, and I've seen him fight live, and I've seen him train, and I've seen him do his things. It was just a whole different star bamboozle. There's just so much things that he brought to the sport, and the sport, I believe, is definitely not the same. And I hope that we get another Floyd Mayweather. I don't think we're going to get it in between 2020, 2030. He was very outspoken. He was charismatic. Like he was so different to anything we'd seen in the sport for a long time. He was boasting. He was opinionated. He was very upfront. But you must feel the same too. It's definitely not the same as it used to be. You know what I mean? But I also say to myself it happened at the right time, Nick. His career from 96 to 2017, that was perfect for Floyd. He maximised everything of his opportunity within those 19, 20 years. But then again, I think about this new TikTok, Instagram, fucking social media, YouTube era that we live in now. Floyd would he make more money now? I don't know. Yeah, but it's the sport's definitely not the same since he's left. You look at the pay-per-view numbers last year, and not trashing on fighters, but Canelo fought Billy Joe Saunders last year. They did 582,000 buys, or 582,000, whatever they did for that fight. It was one of the biggest watched fights of the year. That wouldn't even be in Floyd's top 12. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? It's just we're so inclined into social media and TikTok and YouTube, where we can grab snippets of YouTube and Instagram and all this sort of stuff, and we can watch it after the event. And more people say, oh, yeah, I watched it live. But no, they didn't. You know, where Floyd, he maximised that 08, let's say 08, 09 through to 2015, that's 6 years. The guy made over $627 million. You know what I mean? Off pay-per-view boxing, but built it. You know what I mean? There's no fighter today that really builds. Look, I'd say Fury comes the closest. I'd say Fury's the closest thing to Floyd. And people go, what the fuck? What, you really reckon? Yeah, I do. I think Fury, he's not the same boxer as Floyd, but he draws eyes on the sport like Floyd, and he dictates the narrative like Floyd.
All the way, are we going out tonight? All the way, I'ma chug the bottle, chug it all the way.